Viewers, have you ever thought what goes behind headlines? Or have you ever thought what goes behind that truth which is buried deep under the layers of lies, power, or sometimes silence? And what a reporter faces emotionally, mentally, physically, or ethically while covering these stories? This is what exactly the world of investigative journalism sounds like. Namaskar everyone, this is Sanjukta Kulkarni and welcome back to SMJ Varta. Well, in today's podcast, we have a wonderful guest. She's not less than a bravery award winner, a journalist who has saved the life of 1,000 villagers, a journalist who was brave enough to bring those uncovered stories of a chemical company who is also associated with Union Carbide. Well, I'm talking about that journalist who is an RTI activist, author, and a winner of multiple prestigious awards. I warmly welcome Vinita Deshmukh ma'am on our podcast, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, your style of investigative journalism is very fascinating. What motivated you to come into this field, especially this investigative style?
See, for journalism is about speaking truth to power. So by that note, every journalist should be an investigative journalist. Especially the one who is looking after different beats, like beat crime, municipal corporation, political party, whatever. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that I told you that you need to have a fire in the belly. You need to be angry about social injustice. You need to be angry that staying in a democracy, living in a democracy, you have the powers that be who want to use your public funds, indulge in corruption, irregularities, and like you said, even tell lies to the public.
Right.
They are the trustees of our tax money. The poorest of the poor also pays tax if he buys one glucose biscuits for 5 rupees.
True.
So in effect, every citizen must have what democracy gives him or her in return of the tax that he or she is paying and has trusted it to an elected representative to work for her or him or the entire society.
It's a very common question for journalists, but have you faced moral dilemmas?
None at all. If you're speaking truth to power and you want to write only the truth, there's no question of being immoral. I mean, there's nothing called a moral dilemma in journalism. It is then you have a little crooked mind to maybe earn some side money, which the politicians are anyway doing.
Right.
So why are you being a journalist, right? So the ethical value of any journalist is to only speak for your audience, which is often the common man. And should I ask also further add about the right to information?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So you talked about investigative journalism. So from 2005, the journalist has another tool of investigation, and that is the right to information. Earlier, we used to depend on officers who themselves were probably corrupt, though we had officers who were so straightforward that they would hand over the documents of reports and analysis to us and say that, you could study and write about it. But most of them are wedded to the loyalty of the political class. So in that case, we never got the 100% truth. We tried to get the maximum truth and give it to the readers. And probably that was 50% truth.
Right.
But after the right to information came in, we have no compulsion to speak to the officers first. We first have the section 4 of the RTI, which means that any working day, not only a journalist, but even a common man, but in this case, I'm giving a journalist, can go to an office, demand the files, let's say of a project, of a road, of a dam, of some free midday meal that is being given, just anything that the government is doing with our money, and get the copies of the documents, and they are bound to give it under the section 4 of the RTI. So when you read those documents in black and white, which I did for Dow Chemicals, which you mentioned, or Pratibha Patil's land scam, So I had the documents with me, which were officially certified copies.
Okay.
And that's when you can tell the truth. And nobody can contest, because it is the government which has given you these copies.
But do you think whether these copies are either manipulated or misleading, the RTI's copies sent to us? Are they?
See, that's a question which is, very naive. Because if you know the way the government of India works, you may think that they are just a whole room filled with files, but they are very, very organized and scientific when it comes to their files and the data that is therein. Maybe 1% somebody may be doing manipulation, but 99% these are authentic documents. So let's not unnecessarily make the government feel that the Indian government is so lowly that they would manipulate. No. You want to get your story, you will get it through documents, through so many departments, even the CAG reports. All these tell the truth. So there's no point of imagining that somebody is, messing up with they cannot do it. They'll be out of their job.
Right.
Yeah.
When you are saying about RTI, and then is this how you start your investigating a lead? What is exact process? How do you start? Me as a journalist, if I want to start, how should I start with that one point?
See, there are various ways.
Okay.
One is that when you are a journalist and you're working, sincerely. So let's say that you're doing a education beat. So automatically you get to have networking. Through the networking with maybe coaching classes, with the secretary education, with many other stakeholders of that department, of that area. So when they know that you are writing about education, one is that they may give you a tip. It could be a verbal tip. It could be a document, which you could process and see that, oh, there's a story. Second is that you are all the time visiting that, maybe the education office. There are visitors coming there. There are, parents who have got they have come for some problem. So through them, these parents or even students, they just, while you're sitting there waiting for the education secretary, somebody is talking about some issue. And you gather that and you find that, oh yes, this is in fact a story. So that's how you get a story. The fourth is you have readers. There are many readers who may be in knowledge of certain issues. So they write to the editor and say that this is the problem, this is the issue. They give details as if they're writing a letter. But actually that reader's letter can contain an explosive story. So these are the ways, the connections. Even a neighbor could tell you something which can be a story. So investigative is nothing, something like, you need to get the secret documents. In movies, they show you that in the night they go and search, open the drawers, and that is I forgot which movie, but that's like an exaggeration. You get your tips just here. The 6-7 people sitting here, they would or maybe having something while talking that could make your story. So that's the most fascinating part of investigative journalism. Every journalism which gives you information beyond the basic news is investigation.
Right.
And it is up to the fire in the belly of the journalist to take it so far. Like some may do 2 stories and, forget about it. Some may do it for a long time. I did the Mahabaleshwar environmental degradation issue in Indian Express for 4.5 years. So it all depends on how much your editor also supports you, how much fire you have, because all editors need journalists who are courageous and can talk to power.
Right.
Those who are dashing. So in journalism, it's said that there are 2 kinds of personalities. One is aggressive and one is very subdued. So generally, the subdued journalists are taken into the desks for editing because they do a great job, because they have patience. And then those who are aggressive, like to go out and do stories, they become reporters.
Right.
Yeah.
And ma'am, do you remember your first story where you said, now I made this person accountable for what he have done wrong?
Well, there are many such stories, but now that, so quickly to tell you. So I got a phone call from a reader. I was in the Indian Express saying that a horse, that's a racecourse horse,
Okay.
has been cut into pieces, and in Hadapsar garbage depot, some community is removing the meat. So when he said that, I thought a racecourse horse and racing season was going on. So obviously it was something amiss. So I called my photographer and I went there. We clicked all the pictures. And incidentally, one day earlier, the Indian Express had clicked a photograph of that same very horse who had got a heart attack while it was racing and had fallen down. So we put both the pictures together and did a page one story on how, and even quoted from, Raj Kapoor's that song, which said that, when the horse is alive, your status depends on him. And then when he goes, you treat him like garbage. Right. So that story went. So immediately the Turf Club Center contested it and said that it is a stray horse. So again, we went back to those pictures. We went to, one of the horse owners, and went to him I remember at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. and then asked him that this is what it is. These are these two pictures. So can you just send it to a laboratory to find out whether this is stray or not? And then the report came that it was indeed of a good breed, of the same breed that we talked about. And then we presented the story. And after that, like in the Mumbai Mahalakshmi racecourse, the horse is so honored that the pits are made like for any human beings to bury.
Right.
And these people had not bothered. So immediately after our story, the Turf Club made those pits, and till today, the horses are honored when they die. So this is a very micro level community story. And that made me good that the Turf Club authorities were all big people, the Parsi businessmen, and during that time, they were really big guns. But then they had to accede to the fact that they were doing something wrong. So this is, and I'm saying you don't have to break national scandals. Like President Pratibha Patil, I was thrilled that she was building a 260,000 square feet house, which is totally illegal. And because of my right to information and the stories that I consistently did for 15 days in a row, at that time, this Colonel Patil with who I worked with, he had gone to 4 cities and given press conferences, but nobody was ready to take up the issue. It is only when through Money Life, I had those stories done, and then it blew up into a big issue. And I was so pleased that the President of India used to carry allegedly builders in her official aircraft to go around and see what kind of architecture to do for her great palace, had to just give it up and has gone back to her small house, 4,000 square feet. That was, I think, my biggest, pleasure. And also the Dow Chemicals, which gave back 100 acres.
Right.
So that also was possible because of investigative journalism through RTI. That's the power.
But ma'am, while covering the stories, do you think journalism is against journalism? For instance, I'll say, nowadays I'm not scared, but journalists are doing comedy and stand-up comedian are doing journalism. And this censorship put by government that you can't cover the story, you can't print something against them. How, in that circumstances, how should we come up?
Yeah, so like I told you, today the mainstream journalism has been controlled completely by the government. It is very clear from the stories that you see. Young journalists will not be allowed to, like you said, a young journalist like you would find it difficult to talk truth to power. But you don't need them anymore. The TV readership has come down. And today, senior editors and journalists have started their own digital platforms, YouTube channels, where there are lakhs of readership. For every episode, there are lakhs of readership. Can you believe it?
Yes.
Now, of course, Ravish Kumar sometimes has 3.5 lakh readership when the episode is going on.
Yeah.
It ranges from 1 lakh to 3.5 lakh. I told you about this young boy who covered the Punjab farmers' protest, and he was the most followed journalist on Twitter. besides his video blog. So you just don't need anybody. You think you want to speak truth to power, you can just do it yourself from the corner of your house. And that's why I talked that technology social media has empowered you to be your own newspaper, to be your own TV media, to be your own digital media. But still, I would say that conventional newspapers like the Indian Express, they still are always looking out for journalists, young journalists who want to do serious stories. So we cannot say that none of the serious stories are coming out in newspapers. They are coming. But you cannot have a campaign, or suddenly you'll get a phone call from some politician saying, now you stop it. Those kind of things may happen. But still there is enough space in even conventional media, not maybe so much in TV media, but even print media, to have those aspirations of becoming a investigative journalist.
That's really a lovely thought. And there's one more thing, the last thing, that how we as a journalist could take that one mantra from you to go ahead.
Yeah, so the career of a journalist is thankless. If you want to have accolades, bouquets, no, sorry, nobody is going to give it to you. Only when you come to lectures you can get. So you have to face brickbats, because your passion, it is only giving. Journalism is giving to the society, reflecting what is going on in the society, helping the common man, but by interacting with the authorities to make a better society, to bring out the truth. So the only mantra is that you have to keep going, I told you, like a housewife who is never praised, even if she makes the best Sunday treat for you all. The next day, the children and husband, of course, will crib that, the food is back to boring. So you have to go on as if your newspaper or whatever you're working for is your child. A mother never expects anything from a child, but keeps on giving. So you have to keep on giving to the society till you can.
Okay. That's a very wonderful thought to end on. Well, thank you so much, Vinita ma'am, to come on this podcast, share your thoughts. We have a very short time crunch, but yes, it is definitely so many stories you have covered, so many interesting angles you have given to many stories. So many people maybe have felt empowered and are doing their thing, what a citizen has to do. Just not be quiet, but ask the government what they are responsible for. For more such brood content and conversations, stay tuned. Until then, think scientifically.
Thank you for having me here.